Today we are going to look at another RC2014 board, but this time a standalone ROM programmer. One of the subscribers recently asked for a video on how to update the version of the romWBW chip. As this is something I have never done, it's the ideal opportunity to look at the process used to perform ROM updates. There is of course more than one way of doing this. You can purchase pre-programmed ROMs, link in the description below, for the model of your Z80 system. You can flash the ROM you have if your Z80 system supports this, or you can purchase a ROM writer. So I decided to upgrade the SC131 computer shown in a recent video by using the 39SF040 programmer, link in the description below. You can purchase these with a blank ROM, allowing you to flash a new version to this while keeping your original ROM as a fallback should anything go wrong. If it all works, then the original ROM can be used the next time you want to update. What we have here is the packaged ROM writer and a blank ROM. The board is mostly populated, and I took the option to purchase it with a zero insertion socket. This makes plugging the ROM in and getting it out again so much easier. This ZIF socket you will need to solder into the board, along with a tiny display and two sets of header pins. The surface mount components and the SD card socket are pre-fitted, so there is not a great deal to do to prepare this board for use. As always, take your time in soldering everything in place and observe the usual safety precautions. On the back of the board are printed the instructions you will need to follow when flashing your new ROM. Additionally, the board does support dumping an existing ROM to the SD card. So I'll just speed through the soldering of the components to the board and we can get on to downloading the ROM image for your computer. So this is the computer we're going to be updating. This is an SC131 Z180 system. Going on to the GitHub releases page allows you to download a suitable zip file containing all the ROM images. Again, link in the description below. Once you have the zip file downloaded, you have to locate in the binary subfolder the appropriate ROM image for your particular system. So we are going from an upgrade to version 3.6. Let's connect to the computer to see what version is currently in use. Once the FTDI cable is attached and plugged into my Windows computer, we can power up the SC131. Running Device Manager allows us to see what COM port it has connected to. So we can then configure TeraTerm to communicate with the Z180 system, setting the colours on screen and the port number. A quick press of the reset button and the Z180 system should boot up. And here right at the top of the screen is the version of romWBW, version 3.5.1, dated May 2025. So we can check this version after the update. So let's list the ROM applications so we can compare this with the new version. So it's now time to do some ROM programming. Taking the blank ROM out of its packaging and inserting it into the ZIF socket on our programming board. Once the lever is down, the ROM is held securely in place and we can reread the instructions once more. So I then copy the ROM image from my computer to an SD card and insert this into the programming board. I didn't realise at this point that the name of the ROM image on the SD card must be RC2014 ROM. Otherwise the programming board can't find the file and an error is displayed on the tiny screen. So a quick rename of the ROM file on the SD card on my Windows computer and we're ready to start. You can power the board from an FTDI cable or with 5 volts on the 2 pins at the bottom of the board. So all we need to do now is to click the Write button. And confirming we wish to write, we now get a friendly progress bar to let us know it's busy programming the ROM. This takes a few minutes, and once this is done, it will then attempt to verify the ROM. And once the verification stage has been successful, it will tell you that programming has been completed. We can now power off our programming board and then extract the newly updated ROM. Now comes the moment of truth, when we replace the ROM in our Z180 computer with the newly flashed ROM. The ZIF socket makes getting the ROM out of the programming board relatively easy. Slightly more of a challenge with the ROM in the computer. But we've managed it, and we can now insert the new ROM in its place. It's now time to reassemble the computer, power it up, and try out the new ROM. And here we are back in TerraTerm. And as you can see from the top of the screen, the computer is now reporting that its ROM is now version 3.6. So we have upgraded successfully. If we click on Help in this version, we'll see that there have been a few changes, and we can compare this with the help in the previous version on the right-hand side of the screen. So the menu structure appears to have changed, and I'll need to look through the release notes to see in detail what the new version does differently. However, hopefully this video will have let you see how easy it is to update from one version of romWBW to the next available version using this new ROM programming board. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching today's video. Please feel free to click on the link in the description below to discover more videos.